10 questions to ask before choosing a realtor. Hi, my name is Jennifer Whipple. I'm a realtor with Red Gecko Homes, a Keller Williams Realty Atlanta Partners team. Today we're going to go over the top 10 questions you want to ask a realtor that you're considering working with. Okay, question number 1. Are you a realtor or are you a real estate agent, and what's the difference? So I'll try to make this as quick and easy as I can. If your agent that you're interviewing can't tell you the difference or says they're the same, that's a big red flag. So keep that in mind. Real estate agents are licensed by their local governing body. If you're a realtor, you are held to a higher standard of morality. You will hear people talk about fiduciary responsibility, and basically what that means is the realtor is responsible for putting the client's needs ahead of their own. A real estate agent, there's no law that says you have to put your client's needs ahead of your own. So there you go. Realtors put your client's needs ahead of their own. There's more to it, of course, but that's the short version. Okay, question number 2. Do you work full time? Here's the thing. There is nothing wrong with a realtor that only works part-time or on the side. But real estate is a profession like anything else. For me, if I'm going to be buying or selling one of the largest investments I may ever make in my life, I went to work with somebody who's working full-time. They're committed. This is their job. It's not a side hustle. It's not something that they only do in the summers when their full-time job is at a break, or they only do on the weekends. Because here's the thing. In order to stay current, it's not just showing houses and doing walkthroughs and doing contracts. There's also a lot of behind-the-scenes learning that realtors have to do to stay current. These contracts change sometimes multiple times a year, and even one checkbox different can make the difference between you paying an extra $1,000 to the closing table or you not closing on time. And so you really do need a realtor that knows what they're doing. And I believe that you have to have somebody who's working full time that's going to put that energy and effort into maintaining that knowledge. Somebody who's working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 at a regular job, office job or a corporate job, and then they do real estate on the weekends. Maybe they're great, maybe they won't have a problem, but if they're working on the weekends and they're working during the week, when are they having time to also do the required learning to keep up with their profession? I guess think about it this way. Do you want an accountant to file your taxes that only works on the weekends so they kind of get it? Maybe you won't get audited, but what if you do? With these kind of transactions, I go with somebody who works full time. They need to be available during regular business hours to talk to your loan officer in case situations arise, when amendments need to be addressed in a timely fashion. If they are at work at a corporate job and they can't respond to you until after 5 o'clock, but your lender needs that paperwork before 5, that puts the pressure and stress on you to try to figure out how to get this done. That's not your job. That's your realtor's job. So I think it's important to have a realtor that works full time. Are there exceptions? Of course. But it is something that you need to be aware of. And so it's a question you need to ask the person you're interviewing. And are you willing to work with somebody who's only part-time, or do you want a full-time agent? There you go. How long have you been a realtor? Now, a lot of people think, oh, well, I need a realtor who's been doing this for 50 years. They have all the experience. And that is partially true. Every deal I have done, which to date is more than 50, I have learned on every single deal. So I am much more experienced and knowledgeable than I was on day one. I have also met agents that have been doing this 20 or 30 years, and they don't have half the understandings of the contracts that I do. I'm teaching them because they've been doing it so long. They are lax and out of the loop, and they're not maintaining their education. They're not understanding the contract changes, and I can out-negotiate and outperform some of those agents. So maybe the question would be to ask is not how long have you been a realtor, but how often do you take continuing education classes, and what kind of classes are they? There you go. Question number 4. Who is my primary point of contact? This question applies more when you're talking to an agent that represents a team. Single agent, they're going to be your only primary point of contact. They don't have anybody else to give you. A big mega team, they may have a half a dozen people, and your primary point of contact is going to be different based on what time frame you are in your transaction and what your question is. They may have you talking to a showing coordinator, a stager, a contract specialist, a closer. There's any number of people that mega agents have on their teams. Of course, there's benefits to both. There's a benefit to being a single agent. I am your primary point of contact. You call me anytime you need something. Or mega agent, I have specialists in each category. So when the time is right, you're going to deal with this person. That's all she does all the time is write up contracts and get you to close. That's her only focus. So that's who you contact then. The answer you want is going to depend on what your priority is. I have a team of two. We are a husband-wife team. And I find that to work really well because I have the benefits of both without the negatives. William and I have very different personality types. So we work with different clients based on those personality types, really. But either way, whether you're working with me or you're working with William, we are your primary point of contact. The nice thing about having a backup is if I'm at a closing or I'm showing other houses or I'm unavailable, there's always if you can't reach me and you need somebody now, call him, and vice versa. Question number 5, what is the cost? I'm going to divide this into both sides, buying versus selling. And we're going to start with the buy side. The short version is 99% of the time, it won't cost you anything to buy a house because the seller pays for your realtor's commission. This applies for new construction as well. There is that 1% of the time that the buyer could have to pay their realtor's commission. And I go over that extensively when I meet with buyers and discuss the buyer brokerage agreement. But the short version is, if you buy a house from somebody who's selling it as for sale by owner, you're up to the mercy of the seller as to what they are going to pay for your agent. And your agent expects to make their commission regardless of what the seller is paying. So that is something that your agent should make you aware of. You should have lots of discussion. There should never be any surprises. I'm always very careful when I'm dealing with my buyers. If we're in a situation where they even might have to pay me, I want them to know upfront so there's no shocks. In all of the transactions I've done, I have never had a buyer pay for my commission, and I don't plan on changing it. Certain sellers will discount their commissions, and they'll say, well, I'm only going to be willing to pay 2%, for example. Well, I charge 3%. So if the seller's only willing to pay 2%, and the buyer loves this house, it's the dream house, it's the perfect one, then they're going to have to pay me that missing 1%. But they will know it. They'll know it before we walk through the door. And it'll be part of their decision-making process because that's money that's coming out of their pocket. They can't finance that. That has to come out from them directly. So the short version is, for the buyer, how much does it cost to have a realtor? Most of the time, nothing. How much does it cost to sell your home? You pay a commission to the selling agent who splits it with the buyer's agent, and then whatever other costs are associated with getting your home ready to go on the market. Question number 6, how will you help me buy and or sell? I'm going to again split this into 2 parts. We're going to deal with the buyers first. How will I help you buy? My job is to work with my buyers and understand what their priorities are and how best I can serve them. So, for example, if you live in another state and you're moving to Georgia, work with you differently than if you've lived here all your life. I will ask a lot of questions. Sometimes people have said, geez, it feels like you're interrogating me, but I won't understand what you want unless I ask these questions. And there's always more questions. It's a huge purchase. It's a big investment, and it's not one that you can just take back. You can't send it back to Amazon when you don't like the house. You're stuck with it for a while, so you need to like it. It needs to solve your purpose. I have had buyers forget to tell me that their hobby is exotic cars. We've had long brokerage meetings where we talk about their priorities and Do they want gas stoves or an electric stove? Or what school do they need to be in? Do they want to be close to the highways? Do they need to be close to the airport? But they didn't mention that they drove a Ferrari. So when they pull up to the house that has a relatively steep driveway in their Ferrari, I look at them and say, there's no even point in going in. You can't get that car up this driveway. We need a car. We need a house that has a 3-car garage. These are the reasons we ask these questions. When I tour houses with buyers, I always ask a lot of questions. I have them rate the house on a 1 to 10 scale. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like. Depends on what you want. How can I help you? Do you want me to send you every new listing every day? Do you want me to filter them? Do you want me to preview the houses for you? I have executive level clients whose time is extremely valuable. They don't want to see a house unless it meets every single one of their criteria. Fine. I will go out and preview the house first, let you know if it's any good, and then we'll come back and see it a second time if I think it's right for you. And then I have other clients on the other side that they're happy to see 20 houses in a day. That's what they want. They want to see everything that's available and make sure that they have picked the best one of the options that are available that day. It's all about working with you. So when you're interviewing an agent, if they don't say, well, it depends on what you want, then it's not the right agent. Okay, how will I help you sell your home? Again, this comes back to the seller's priority, and every situation is unique. Is the house yours? Is it inherited? Do you want to move first and sell it vacant, or do you need to live there while it's on the market? What I usually do when I work with a buyer, with a seller, is say, here's a triangle, and I'll write it out on paper. On one point of the triangle is cut price, highest price you can get for the house. On another point of the triangle, I will say ease and convenience. How much effort do you want to put into selling your house? And on the last point is time. How fast do you want to sell your house? I can sell your house fast. I can sell your house without you putting any effort into it. You don't want to? Fine, it's your house. I can sell your house and get you more money than it's been ever gotten in the neighborhood. But you can't have all three. And so that's why you need a realtor who will sit down and say, what are your priorities? What's most important? Question number 7. Do I have to sign a contract, and can I cancel without penalty? Again, I'm going to split this up between buying a house and selling a house. Maybe I should have made 2 sets of top 10 questions. Do you have to sign a contract when you're working with somebody to help you buy a house? Yes, you do. In the state of Georgia, you have to sign something. You cannot be engaged in real estate unless you have a clear understanding of what the rules are. So, legally, I will have to have you sign either an exclusive buyer brokerage agreement or a non-exclusive customer agreement, which says, I can open the doors for you, but I don't have any fiduciary responsibility to you. How long is that contract? That's negotiable. Every realtor sets their own. I usually go for 3 months, maybe 6 months. It might depend. But at the end of the day, I am putting a lot of investment of time and energy and research. I may be driving around to pre-screen houses. I'm calling agents to make sure the houses are available and fit your needs. So I want to make sure that if you decide to buy this house, you buy it from me so that I get paid. Because if you don't buy the house, I don't get paid. That's how it works. So yes, I'm going to have you sign an agreement that says you're working with me and I'm working with you. Okay, can you cancel your buyer agreement without penalty? There is no financial penalty for canceling an agreement. You can cancel, you usually just contact the broker. Now, do you have to sign a contract to sell your house? Absolutely, yes. Houses have to be under contract and listed with a listing agreement. If you cancel your contract to sell your house before it expires, then you are responsible for the agent's marketing costs. So if you're working with me, let's say you have a property in a community that has restricted covenants, and in order to sell your house, it had to purchase a custom sign for your front yard. I can't use my usual signs. If I've done open houses, that has cost. I've probably run advertisements on social media. Those have costs. If I've done a postcard campaign, there's a cost associated there. So when I work with a seller, I set that contract to last long enough to give me a fair chance to get the house sold. Some houses will sell fast, some will sell slow. It just depends on your priority and how we positioned it in the market. But I want to make sure that if I'm putting in money that's coming out of my personal pocket, by the way, that I at least have a full chance to get your house sold and get paid that money back. So if I put all this effort into selling your property and a month later you cancel because you found out that your husband's brother, sister's cousin's dog's groomer is also a realtor and she wants to sell your house, and won't that be fun? And you want to terminate your contract so you can list with her, that's fine, but you're going to have to pay the expenses I've incurred. I think it's only fair. And I feel like if it's explained properly, most people will agree. Question number 8, how will you communicate with me? This is kind of a fun one because I have a test for you to give the agents that you're interviewing. When you ask them this question, be very clear in your answer. If they ask you, well, how would you like it? Because that should be their answer, right? I mean, this is all about the seller. This is all about the buyer, not about the agent. Hopefully, when that agent leaves your home, when that meeting is over, and they follow up and they say, thank you for taking the time to spend with me. I'm hoping to work with you soon, blah, blah, blah. Did they call you, text you, or email you, and what did you tell them? So if you said, I prefer to work by email, and they called, then I guess they weren't listening. Anyway, it's a fun test. Okay, question number 9. How do you set realistic expectations for your clients? Again, I'm going to split this up with buyers and sellers. So buyers, if you want a property that is just not going to happen, I'm going to tell you to your just flat out. That's what we do. Recently, I lost a client who wanted a particular property style in a location that was very popular and expensive with a lot of land, and the location she wanted had a lot of infill. There weren't a lot of large lots left, and at a particular price. It just wasn't going to happen. I said, I can get you this house with this land at this price, but not in this area. Or I can get you in this area for this price, but not in this level of condition that you want. And that's where we talk about, give and take. When we sit down as a buyer and we discuss your priorities, that's why you have a needs list and a wants list. So if area is number 1, your kid has to be in this school district, nothing else trumps that, then you may have to give a little bit on the condition or the size or the amenities in order to get what you want. How am I setting realistic expectations? I'm going to just tell you flat out, if what you want isn't available, I'm going to tell you, and it'll be pretty apparent pretty quickly. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to say, well, maybe we can get a short sale or a foreclosure or whatever. I don't have that time to waste on looking for a unicorn, and frankly, neither do you. I'm not doing you a service if I hope that someday somebody's going to list their house way below value, because that doesn't happen. Sellers are the same way, and here's a fun way to weed out prospective agents when you're going to sell your house. Let's say you are thinking about listing your house. The guy across the street has a very similar house, same square footage, about the same condition, and he sold it for, say, $400, right? You're going to interview agents, and most of the agents are going to say something like, well, Mr. Seller, what do you think your house is worth? Or what would you like to get it for? And if you say $500,000, you throw out a number that makes no sense. Don't go crazy. Don't go $1 million, because they're going to know you're bluffing. But if you say like, oh, $520,000, I've taken great care of it, and I just put in new flooring. If they say, yeah, no problem, we can get that, that's a huge red flag. And I'll tell you what that means. It means they have no intention of selling your house. They're using your house as a place to put their sign and to get their name on the internet so they can get buyers so they can sell somebody else's house. If they don't call you out on that and say, look, why do you, they may do it politely. William certainly would do it a lot more politely than I do. But the question they'll get around to is saying something to the effect of, why do you think your house is worth $100,000 more than your neighbor's house? I think when you set realistic expectations with sellers, it's helpful to have documentation in hand. I can say all I want. Well, I believe that your house is worth this, but I'm not the one that determines what your house is worth. The market determines that. So I better have with me some stats that say, this is how many homes have sold in your neighborhood in the past 6 months. This is what they've sold for. And again, it goes back to your priority. If price is the factor, then I better justify that. You know, this is how you need to stage it. This is what we need to do to get this price. If time is a factor, if you say, I need to have this house closed in 14 days because I'm moving, and I don't say, ooh, we have our work cut out for us, that's going to be a challenge, then I'm not setting a realistic expectation. And 2 weeks from now, you're going to be very angry with me when this isn't going well. If you say, well, I need to sell my house and I don't plan on doing anything, and I say, no problem, and you've got 20-year-old shag carpeting and mirrored walls and bright orange paint on the walls, and I don't say, these are going to be issues, then I'm not setting realistic expectations. So what you really need is an agent that's going to be honest. Go on the walkthrough, see if they point out things that are pretty obvious red flags. Like I said, the old carpet or cat stains or cigarette smoke. And that's the other nice thing about interviewing multiple agents for this job. If 2 out of the agents don't say anything, but the third one does, then I guess you know which one is at least willing to tell you the truth, even if it hurts your feelings. And who do you want to help you sell your biggest and best investment? Somebody who's worried about hurting your feelings, or somebody who's worried about getting the job that you want done? We made it. Question number 10. How do you have references? Yes, I have lots of references. I have references from happy buyers. I have references from happy sellers. But here's something that other agents may not throw out when they're talking to you. I also have vendor references. Well, what's a vendor reference, you ask, Lucky? I'm happy to tell you, because that's why I'm making this video. Talk to a loan officer that does home mortgages about different realtors that they have worked with. And you will get, if you can get one of them in a bar with a beer, you will get stories of obnoxious agents that don't return phone calls. They don't get the documentations in on time. Their contracts aren't filled out correctly. Or you'll get the stories of, oh, I love working with so-and-so. Their stuff's on time. I can always read it. They always answer the phone when I need them. Working a transaction with them is so smooth and easy. I have those references too, because I know what I'm doing and they're happy to work with me. I have never had a lender that's had a problem with me. And it's not just lenders, home inspection companies. If I pick up the phone and I need a home inspection done, I'm going to get it done. If they have to bump somebody out to make place for me, they will, because I know how to treat them properly and with respect, and how to respect their time and their energy, and how to work with them in a manner that helps everybody out. So when your inspector shows up, I know how to not sit there and chat their heads off for an hour and make them lose half of their day chit-chatting. I know how to stay out of their way but still be present when I'm needed, etc. Those are the references that some agents, especially newer agents, won't have earned yet. Any realtor worth a darn should be able to have a list handy that says, here's the people that I've talked to recently. I've got their permission to give out their information. They're happy to chat with you about me. Of course, like any other reference list, they wouldn't give you the name if they hadn't already talked to them about it. So are you going to get a good deal? Straight answer, probably. I mean, nobody's going to say, call this person, they hated working with me. I'm sure they'd be glad to tell you how much they hated it. Okay, we made it. That is it. That's the top 10 questions to ask a realtor that you're thinking about working with. I hope this video has been a valuable use of your time and has been informative, maybe even a little entertaining, maybe. If you've liked it, please give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear a comment. If you have any feedback on ways that I can improve, that's fabulous. If you have questions of a real estate nature that you'd like answered, I am gathering questions for future video series. I'm always looking for new ideas to do videos on. If you need a realtor, if you don't want to go through this process of interviewing, we're happy to find you referrals, whether it's in Georgia, in California, Texas. I've done deals across the country. So I'm here if you want to just have a single point of contact and say, this is who I want. I'm happy to get you a few names and you can interview them yourself. The only thing I would caution is when you click the button on the major named websites, Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, etc., you are agreeing to share your information with half a dozen agents who have paid handsomely for that privilege, mortgage lenders who are also paying, because if you're hiring an agent, you need a lender, home security companies, because if you're buying a house, you're going to need a home alarm, pest control companies, because if you're selling your house, you're going to need termite treatment, out to probably 50 to 100 people who will be calling you. Some of them are tenacious. They'll call every day for weeks. Some of them call once, they don't answer, they move on. You can skip that hassle. I'm happy to find the referrals for you. Do I make something on it? Yeah, of course I do. I make a referral fee. It's also a win-win. I have people out in California that send me clients. I send clients to them. It's a nice relationship. But it takes that burden off of you. If you browse on my website and you click the link for more information, you just get me. Keller Williams has a very revolutionary, really, data pledge. We don't share your data. Your data is your data. If you're on my website, you're browsing it for looking for homes, I don't see that until you actually click the button that says call Jennifer and let her know. I don't get any of that information. So, and it's the same with my app. If you're out driving around and you're using my app, until you click the button that says I want more information, it doesn't even tell me. So that allows you to browse in private and keep some of that data to yourself. Anyway, like I said, I hope this video has been informative and helpful. And if it has, let me know. Just put a comment in that says, hey, thanks. It really helped me pick out an agent. I wish you the best of luck, etc. It'd be nice to hear back. Have a good day.